Right? Everybody cheeks is back in full motion.
Donut cheeks.
Enjoying the food. I tried that smokehouse burger too that you were talking about.
What we saying? Talk to me.
So I will say I'm Americanized, so I've had better burgers. I think you're just used to having different stuff because my girlfriend was saying that, the UK, the food is a little bit different. So I
Okay.
mean,
Well, then call it then? What type of burger are you saying then? So when I'm next
so
over,
I mean, it's not even a burger specifically from Cheesecake Factory. There's just different places that, different brioche buns, pretzel buns,
That's a bomb.
caramelized onions, different things like that. The way that you get it grilled.
But as long as it's not an In-N-Out burger or something,
Yeah,
because
not fast food, like actually getting somewhere to where it's grilled and
like a real burger.
I'm just being honest. And it was what I had after the Olympia. I'm like, I gotta try what the champ eats. I'm like, let's see. So me and Maria both got it. We're like, you know what? It's decent, but it's not the best that we had. We're only comparing it to other burgers that we have. I'm like, all right, Ryan, you're probably just not used to the food. You're not used to it yet.
You're telling me you want me to reimburse you for you and your missus.
No, you need to reimburse yourself to go get a better one.
He wanted his money back.
No, it was worth it. It was still a good meal. I had some cheesecake after. I know you're not a cheesecake guy, but I had cheesecake after, and that was like, all right, we're good.
Yeah, I'll let him off.
Yeah.
He's English.
Yeah.
I shot a YouTube video after the Olympia, and I ate everything that the champs ate. So I had to go through Keon's, I had to go through Samson's, and I had to go through Ryan's and Chris's. And you ate something after the show. It was some kind of, what was it, French toast breakfast or something?
Yes.
I went into the restaurant because you always wear blue board shorts. So I went into the restaurant wearing blue board shorts, and they were like, "What is this guy doing?" It was, but
yeah, crazy. Yeah, someone recommended that place, and it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. Was all drinking in the resorts world, and they said it's actually outside. It's across the way. I was like, we've got to go. So yeah, so at 3 o'clock in a suit, I was eating whatever it was. Can't remember now, but yeah, not nice.
What are we now? 4 weeks post Olympia?
What, sorry?
What are we? 4.5.
Yeah. 4.5.
Yeah. Oh no, 4 weeks. 4 weeks yesterday.
Yeah, and
yesterday.
It's kind of crazy, man. How's everyone been in general, off season?
So I wanted to ask that. Sorry, quickly. I wanted to ask, what does it feel like to you guys? Because for me, when I watch the footage back now, it feels like a lifetime ago. But then it's 4 weeks ago. It's not.
It feels a lot longer.
It always feels like that for me.
Yeah, and
for it to, like you said, for it to be 4 weeks ago, it seems like it was last year.
Yeah,
I know. And then last year's Olympia seems like it was like 5 years ago.
Forever ago. So
it feels like yesterday for me because I was sitting in the crowd watching y'all, so that was a little different. But it definitely feels like an eternity ago, man. Like I'm only 4 weeks into my reverse, and I'm just sitting here looking back at footage, and I'm like, it doesn't make sense. It feels like, I don't know, like Inception. You know what I
mean? So that's the question then. Have you guys all, I won't say stuck to plan, but have you all had like a controlled reverse diet then, or did anyone just go crazy?
Yeah, Ryan,
I've been pretty locked in.
Cream of rice and protein still.
So it's only me then. My bad.
I was about to say, Aaron actually makes fun of me because I stepped off stage and basically never left prep. And
yeah, he's still sticking to it. He's on it.
But I've also realized, like, and I'm actually curious to know what you think about this because you have a weight cap now that you have to really focus on. For me, I'm 20 pounds under my cap, right? So I tried to be so perfect and strict after my, not even reverses, just generally in the off seasons. And I'm trying to not get so much above stage weight because I hear all these people don't get 20 to 20, stay within 20 to 25 pounds above stage weight. And I get it. It makes sense. And I'm a coach, right? So when I hear that, I'm like, yes, I wouldn't want my clients to get, overweight. But the years I made the most progress, dude, I was like 40 pounds above stage weight, put on the most muscle in my life. And then the last 2 years, don't get me wrong, we made it, we got to the stage, but it just felt like the look was diminished and tired and, ran down. And I'm curious, like, do you think it's a correlation?
So I'm the opposite to you then. So for the first 7 to 8 years of my career, I was like you, but I was probably in a deficit as well in my off season. So I stayed lean constantly because at the time, all this was relevant as well. So front covers. So, and they only give you 2 or 3 days notice before front cover. So most of it, so you always wanted to be ready because you never wanted to turn down a front cover option. So I was taught from an early age to just, or from an early part of my career, is to stay lean all year because then you're ready, available for people. So by doing that, I stayed very lean all year. Whereas this past couple of years, I've literally, because of the kids, I'd say the past 3 years is because of the kids, and I want them to normalize food and normalize everything around them. So we still eat clean, but we have treats and we're off plan and that sort of thing. We fit around them, and I've noticed that I have put more tissue on because I think my metabolism slowed down because so fast, eating so clean all the time. I think my body's the last couple of years, put it this way, I'm 6 pounds heavier in the last 2 years.
You want to grow.
I haven't tried to. Yeah, I haven't tried to do that. It's just done it on its own accord. And I keep saying, is that age? Because obviously I'm getting older now. Is it to do with your metabolism slowing down because of your age? But I think it's too coincidental, the fact that I've relaxed my food so much the last couple of years. And then that's happened. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to know what you guys think.
No, it's crazy because to me, I think
I've done both. I've done both. I've had a diet, then I've blown up 30, 40 pounds. And
so what do you normally sit at over stage weight then, Erin?
I sit normally about like 16 pounds over.
That's it.
So like even right now, I'm only at, because this morning I weighed at 237, 238. But I of course, when we checked in, I was 225. So we're not too far away from
miles off
getting.
What about you, Drew?
Way overweight.
Before bed with all my food and meals in, I'm 223. So I'm up there, but I know my body wanted to grow. But the biggest thing is I still been not at a calorie deficit, but I'm closer to what my normal food is. And I could say after Olympia, I was not happy with where I placed. So that actually is the best thing that could have happened to me because I'm even more locked in to improve for next season.
Okay.
So it kind of kept me, I don't necessarily need more size overall, right? So I'm more focused on body composition. I don't train legs anymore. I'm not training, calves, forearms, arms in general. So I'm trying to put just density in my back and kind of taking it around other areas because we have to play with this weight cap now. So just to be more complete for my frame, I just need to improve that back. So I just been locked in after this past Olympia because I just wasn't satisfied. But I think it's the best thing that could have happened to me because I'm that much more hungry.
So you two are in a very unique circumstance where me and Aaron are the complete opposites, right? We have some wiggle room.
You have a lot,
but you two both have to improve at least certain body parts. When I listened to your last video breaking down on kind of what you're targeting for next season, and then Drew, you talk about it often, is I need to focus on bringing up that back. How do you guys make improvements when you also are already at your cap while stepping on stage?
So for me, Drew, just to interrupt, this is in realms where I've never been before. So my whole career, I've always been the smallest guy on stage. Never had to look at my weight, never had to consider that. It's just how I looked in front of a mirror. And I've got to admit, this prep was it was harder on the mind for me because obviously I do prep myself and stuff, and I've never had to worry about a weight scale. So this time around, I became obsessed with it. And I don't know whether that detracted away from how I normally train or but I was waking up every morning weighing myself. I was constantly looking at making sure it was coming down. I think that plays a big part in that. I've got to learn quickly now because I got down, I was okay, but I had to do a few drastic things the last few days. And I don't know, I just feel like I have room for improvement. I know I need to improve on that. So that's a mindset I'm having to learn even now because I've never had to worry about that in the past.
Yeah. And Sadiq actually spoke with him backstage at the Tampa Pro, and he said the same thing. Like he was like, this is, like you said, uncharted territory for him, and he's doing all these things and then trying to fill up. And that's what happened at the Chicago Pro when he spilled over, right? He didn't look his best, and he
kind of pushed the carbs last second, and he has all the size. It's just a matter of that peak.
And that's the thing. He didn't know how his body would respond, right? And for the guys who've never had to worry about this in the past, and like you said, Ryan, you've always been a guy who, quote unquote, was the smaller guy, right? But now you
have to be careful.
You have to be careful, right? So
because every year I come off stage, every year I think, right, we need to go off season, we need to grow, we need to make improvements, we need to try and put some muscle tissue on. And I am genetically not gifted to put, I'm not that 3D, like some of you guys have that 3D look. I've never had those thick muscle bellies. So I've always leaned on condition, and I sacrifice muscle when I diet down. I know I do, but I'm willing to do that to play into my strengths, which is my condition. So when I'm my off season, I'm trying to get up to that the heaviest I was 230. I'd probably sit around 225 comfortably. I'm like what was I now? So I'm 216 now, something like that. So we're creeping back up, but I'm just not going to push it. But oh,
Give me the secrets, Ryan. I need the secrets for the conditioning, bro. I need the.
What did you say? It was white man? What was it? What did you shout about? What
was it? A Caucasian dry or something like that?
Yeah, something like
that. I need that white boy crispiness.
I'll tell you when you give me the fullness of the back, Aaron. Oh, and Ryan. Yeah. I wanted to ask Ryan what his secrets were, because I mean the back, the symmetry and everything. I mean, it's like you said, it's not about the most size. It's about who's the most complete. And when you have the conditioning, the symmetry, and just the fullness in areas that count, you could hold your back next to Aaron, who's a guy who has, with his shape and his structure and his height, the most dominant back in the league. Yeah. Right. So that's kind of something that you have to play to your strengths. After I get off stage, being that 203 to where I'm cutting down, I have striated glutes at 215. So to get to 202, I'm sacrificing a lot of muscle tissue. The first thing to go flat on my physique is my back.
Yeah.
So after a show, usually my back starts to pop, and then people are like, well, why didn't you bring that on stage? I'm like, I physically can't, because I'm trying to get down to that weight. So the focus is to add tissue, not just glycogen, like just add the actual tissue to where I can come in a little flat, but it wouldn't appear flat because that muscle's developed.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's your approach on that? I heard you said like you're obviously cutting down training legs and that sort of. Are you hitting it twice a week, or what is your game plan on that?
So back is a density day, Monday density day. So we're going to like heavy rack pulls. I'm focusing on my form more than anything. Checking the ego, cutting the form down, really engaging the back. I went to a therapist that's helping me with, posture and stretches just from injuries that I've had in the past. My lower back has a lot of tension and it's locked up, so it doesn't engage as much. And when it's not engaging, it's not popping. That lower kind of just fizzles out. As conditioned as I am, I don't have that detailed line work in that lower compared to my upper. So when you look at me on stage next to guys that have it, that's where I'm severely exposed. I could have a front that hangs, quote unquote, a first call out front, one of the best fronts in the world, according to Tyler Mannion for my feedback. But being told I have a 6 call out back, that's where I'm like, okay, that's why I'm ending up in the 3rd call out, because I got one of the best fronts, and then I got one of the worst backs in the Olympia lineup. So it's kind of putting me in that 50 percentile range, which is putting me where I'm at. So in order to me to really focus on bringing that back up, it's the form, it's doing the right stretches to where I'm engaging and breaking down that fascia. I watch a lot of your training because I'm looking at your physique as a guy who brought his back up significantly. So I'm always trying to watch people around me and peers that have improved it. When I thought in my head, it was just, I don't have it. It's not in the cards for me, but I know I can improve it. And with, placing where I did the Olympia and recognizing this, and people always telling me that I have, a terrible back, that's what fuels me to be even better and to focus it even more. So it's just slowing down everything, taking it, I'll always have good legs. I just got to take it out of, my overall body composition. Don't focus on training the things that are strengths. A lot of people want to train their strengths because it helps with their confidence. I've always been a guy that had really dominant delts. So when I trained delts, I felt really confident in the gym. But I don't necessarily need more delts, Banks, you don't necessarily need more delts. Everything is, proportionate. So just focusing on where I lack. It sucks not being able to train everything equally, because I love training legs. I always thought that it was the most, I always felt accomplished after leg day because it's tough. Everybody hates doing it, but afterwards you sleep the best. It's the best feeling, but not training them now. I kind of feel like I'm slacking, but I know it's for the right reasons. I got to chase the look.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
What was your?
I was going to say the same thing. That's why I don't know if you got my message a minute ago on Instagram. That's why I was 5 minutes late, because both my legs were locked out from legs today. I was like, fucking trying to get electrolytes in. Like, you have to give me 5.
So, Ryan, as somebody who brought their back up from being a weak point to now being a strength that allows you to separate yourself from everybody else on stage, what would you say is the one exercise that has allowed you to kind of create that distance from everybody else?
Yeah, so I'll touch on that. So I remember 2 years ago when I placed seventh at the Olympia. That was me looking to retire, thinking, look, I'm going the opposite way. 2016, I was in the mix around that year, and then I'm getting obviously further and further away with my placings. And I remember putting it out on social media that, yeah, this could be the end or whatever. And I remember Tyler getting hold of me and wanting to come and see me. It was in the Dragon's Lair in Las Vegas when we were competing after show, a couple of days after the show. And he just said, it's your back. You never come back for feedback. Like after you only compete at the Olympia, which he was right. The last few years, I never did the Olympia. I never really did any other shows in the year. And he said, you never come back for feedback, and it's just you're back from the front. So it says very similar, Drew. He said, and it runs true. If you ever look at any of my footage in previous Olympias, from the front, you're always fighting up there. You're in the mix, the second, the third place or whatever for first, and then you turn to the back and you just see me slowly start to go down the ranks to 3 to 4 5. So I knew that before he told me anyway, and he just says, why don't you come out and we give you feedback? You're just not hitting it right, and obviously you need more thickness. So I kind of semi did it when I went to New York. I went and got a bit of feedback before to Steve, and he just showed me how to hit it properly. And I can't believe it's just naivety, really, because I've prepped myself and because I've done it for so long. I assumed I was hitting my back the right way, and it's mad because I trained with super heavyweight bodybuilders all my life. My training partner was 3 times Mr. Universe in the super heavies, so like how they didn't correct my back over all those years, how I was hitting it is just baffles me. But it's my own fault. I put my hand up. I should have had a bit of guidance before then. But I knew I needed to add the tissue as well, so I wasn't like opposed to that. So I just said to my wife, I'm gonna have one more year at it. I'm gonna do everything they ask, and let's see what happens. So I did more shows in the year, which was the Pittsburgh, the New York. I trained my back Monday and Friday. Still do it now every week. So I do thickness and lower, and then lower and width focused. We do get a bit sporadic, but that's normally the focus around those 2 sessions. And I did it solid for a year. And like I say, I went in with 6 pounds heavier from the New York to that last year's Olympia. So that made such an improvement. And to be honest with you, to answer your question, sorry, bent over barbell row. And it's not about the weight either. Drew, I'm with you massively on that. 2 years ago, I made a decision. I stepped away from my training partners who were, again, the super heavyweight guys, constantly getting injured with them. I was just moving weight from A to B, not really getting that connection. I just didn't want to be the guy to be taking the weights off. I always fitted into their type of sessions. And it just hit me. I was like, what am I doing? Like, I don't connect well with these exercises, but it's convenient for those guys. So I just stepped away, took the weight, like half the weight, and went on to that time under tension, just went on to mind to muscle. And it sounds cheesy because everyone throws that mind to muscle, like saying around, don't they? But I focus on that so much now. And like my barbell rowing, it looks pathetic when I'm doing it because there's hardly any weight on it. But that connection I get on that, keeping my core tight, everything, it's just blew my back to pieces. That and hyperextensions, just own body weight hyperextensions, superset them.
I'm actually going to start hyperextensions. That's something that I'm researching a little bit more. Aaron used to do something that was like
Aaron Banks, like to where he made his own workout. Yeah.
What was that? Talk to me. I missed this. What was that?
Yeah. So it's basically a hyperextension, and I moved the hyperextension exercise machine to the cables. And I put the cable at the bottom.
Like a row while you do it.
Like a hyperextension.
Hyperextending at the same time.
Yeah.
So,
I think I posted that a few weeks back. But yeah, no, that's a great exercise. You can do it with like different attachments.
You can do it with any attachment. Any attachment.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. It was that's something I'm gonna add in my arsenal. But the one thing that I've noticed,
do you rack pull or deadlift at all, Ryan?
I do. I don't really rack pull. No, I deadlift. If I'm going to deadlift, I do it at the end of the session, so my ego's gone. I'm tired, and it's more just rep work. Or I'll do it at the start, but I'll superset it with hyper extensions. So I'll hyperextend with a deadlift, and it sounds silly, but do you know if there's anybody who wants to challenge you for a deadlift, or somebody wants to come in who's 10 times bigger than you, and you want to just slow them down, bring their ego down, put them into that superset to start with. I promise you, it will obliterate. It's like you've got tennis balls in the back of your
Too
lower back.
much. Yep.
Because
Yep.
it's so isolated. So it's
Yes.
yeah. So I do them, but not heavy, and it's always a 12 to 15 rep range. It's never a 1 rep max or a 5 to 6.
Prevents injury. I know that's Jay Cutler's approach. When I talked to him years ago, he said that, you know, if he started with squats, he'd be 5, 6 plates, but he would do his whole leg workout, accessory movements, fatigue. And then
Yeah,
at the end of the workout, that's what he would do to
yeah,
really, you know, like you said, check that ego, do 2 plates. And that's
yeah.
preventing injury too, you know. So that's definitely something that I should implement into my workout too. I mean, I got a split that's very similar to you. And like you said, it's nice to hear that the current best in the world has also had the same exact weaknesses that I have had. And Steve actually compared my weaknesses to yours, because I
Yeah.
believe last year I was in the posing room and you posed with him, I think the day before I went there, because I ended up running into you there. And he said,
Yeah,
Ryan
yeah,
Terry had the same issue. You're not
yeah.
opening up and you still need more of that thickness. Cause then the way that Steve has you do it is where you're opening up. And if you don't have that thickness, you're going to look flat. You
Yes.
know, so
Yeah.
that's why I got to really focus on that upper back and then just bring up the lower even more. That's why we have the lower days separate now. So it's definitely something that I'm excited to see, just implementing it. And that's part of the journey, you know, being
Yeah,
able to
definitely.
watch your body change and feel it more than anything.
That was one thing I did learn from Steve massively was even this year, like last year, it was instrumental because I remember it. It's on. I've got it on video actually, where it's on camera where he's telling me how to do it, and then you just all of a sudden see the lower back suck up, and it just where I realized, oh, that's what he meant because he was explaining it. I couldn't hit it, and I was like, what's he on about? And then as soon as the chest went up and the back went like just tucked under, and it just
Yeah.
popped, and I was like, oh my god,
Was it tightening your glutes?
all these years, what the hell have I been doing? Like it was
Yeah.
literally a night and day. And because I had a year out, 'cause obviously didn't compete this past year, I couldn't hit it again. But before I went to Olympia, so I was like, Steve, I really need your help here. And that's obviously why I went back to New York and as soon as I hit it again, it all second nature and it comes back to you. But yeah, I think for me, it's just getting that connection right. And then once I've got it, I'm okay.
Did he have you squeeze your glutes and then lift your chest? It was a combination of the both, or what
So,
was it?
yeah, no, so what he did is he said like, yeah, tighten the lower back. So he said you can literally tighten the lower back without spreading the lats and without engaging the top part of your back. And he says that should be hurting, that should be burning. It should be from that. And then from there, the chest then goes up and then the lats come out.
It's
And
hard to hold.
That's it.
yeah, but once you get it, you're like, fucking hell, why have I not done that before?
Yeah.
I get
Yeah.
it. But the problem is, I don't know if you saw on any of my, I didn't highlight it before, but I've got a real sticking problem with this shoulder, my infraspinatus, and this year I have problems in my off season. I think it's when I put weight on, maybe touch the heavier weight, I get real bad problems. I got it from Andre Ferguson's workout when he told me to do a prison workout, which was 100 pull-ups every day.
Yeah.
Stupidly, I thought I'd try it. It was after the Boston Pro a few years back, and I just remember every day I was getting weaker and weaker with it. I was like, "What's wrong?" And it just became numb. And then all of a sudden, I felt it go. And yeah, my infraspinatus always give me like problems. I can't really connect very well as well. So when I was out in New York, obviously I flew my video for my physio out with me, and behind the scenes, what we had to do just to get onto stage to be able to open up, it was deep tissue day and night. We were having Dr. Mike Camps. I don't know if you know him. He worked with quite a lot of like he was on the tens machines like every third day. And it was just, and I had to fight the tens machine. So I was lat spreading, but I didn't want any of this on camera. I didn't want to show anything because I didn't want to show weakness to any of you guys. So I was like, this is behind closed doors. But I was in
Yeah.
so much pain. And we had to hit them. And then he'd fire the electrodes through. And I had to fight the electrodes just to get that left lat open. So
Yeah.
it's all the things you don't see, what people go through, what we all go through in our own ways. I just think I'd love to be able to show all that off. But at the same time, I'm like, no, this is for me only.
Yeah.
And I love, and now that the doors are kind of open, right? You step through, you retained your title,
Yeah.
you released a video kind of breaking down your mental state, a lot of the physical state that you were going into the not in the prep, but towards the end of prep, like going into the actual show, whether it was you being sick, having pains.
Yeah.
Can you give people a quick rundown on kind of what
Yeah.
we're leading in?
Yeah. So basically, just a recap of the year. Obviously, I mentioned it on my YouTube, but I after last year around the Olympia time. So it was a very hard time for me. But we've talked about it, so I don't want to go on about the 2023 Olympia, but it's one of the hardest times of my life because there was a lot going off behind closed doors. There was a lot I was trying to juggle, obviously, you know, building the gym and a newborn and a lot of stuff going off. And obviously, went into the new year, an investment, what I put a lot of money into, like let's just say invested into a business. And I've not really talked about this, but the same time around the Olympia last year, I invested a lot of money, which was for my kids' future into a medical. And it ended up, a guy did the dirty on me and did a runner with this money and stuff, and he's still on the run now. So a lot of things I never publicized, and I'm only telling you guys now, it affected me in a lot of ways. So mentally, it just broke me because I don't come from it. I don't come from money. So this type of money was like my kids' future. So it kind of broke me as a person. So I kept steps off the Olympia stage whilst all this was going off still. And I knew I'd been ripped off. Had the police trying to investigate it all, just everything. To then try and put a smile on social media, you know what you have to do. Go into the new year, start the new year and be this Mr. Olympia guy. I just couldn't be that guy. And obviously still trying to get the gym off the ground and trying to get the staff and stuff like that. I didn't train for the first 6 months, really, probably 2 or 3 days a week. I was on 2 or 3 meals. I actually had blackouts. Don't know. They put it down to anxiety attacks and whatever, but I had a few blackouts and stuff, and I was having to look into my physical and mental health quite a lot in the first part of the year. But I'm not somebody who likes to publicize that. Can't believe I'm actually telling you all this now, but I don't. That's my private life, and that's what I get on with. But it became very difficult because I knew it was creeping up, and in my head I'm thinking like we're 7 months or 6 months away from the Olympia now, and I've hardly lifted the weight, and I've got these guys coming at me. Do you know what I mean? From everyone's hungry for it, and I remember going to the Arnold's, and they did really make me realize I was like, I've got a big target on my back here. This is massive. Like I knew I would have, but not to that degree. I knew. So Erin, I took.
It's a different feeling, bro. It's a different. I know it. So even
so
I won in 2022, it was the pressure was
mad.
A lot of pressure.
And the thing is that the whole demeanor changes towards your support network. So I was always the underdog, what do they call me? I'm going to be the uncrowned Mr. Olympia. So a bit like Flex Wheeler in his time. I was going to be like the people's champ or whatever, but he was a nice guy, but just didn't quite cut it. And that was, the pressure was building up. So I always had people supporting me and everyone behind me. It was like this wave of support. And then when you win it, it's kind of like people want to shoot you down a little bit, don't they? And they start attacking.
Exactly.
I've never experienced that before. So there was a lot going off. And it just got to a point where I need to make a decision here. We're now at 4 months out, and this is when I start my prep. And I'm like, we either lock in and put all this bullshit behind me and just do what you love and train. Like obviously training and what I live for is bodybuilding. And like I said, I've done over 20 years. We either pull that aside and go for what you want to go for, or we put our hands up and say, this is as far as I can go. And luckily, it kind of put me back in the right direction. And touch wood, I've kind of just cut that segment out of my life now, moved on. I kind of dealt with it and moved on now and just accepted that was a shit time. And that's why this Olympia, this title, I've got it here. Sorry, I keep pointing down, but
there it is.
This one, I'm not afraid yet, but this one meant so much more behind closed doors to my family and stuff, which I didn't publicize until now because of that year we had. So it was a getting a bit emotional here, guys.
Well, I was about to say, because
it's good because even when we're backstage, bro, and we're having our conversation, and you're just saying, bro, like I don't know, like I brought all my family here. We got like 20, 30 people here, and just you and hearing like how passionate you were about it, I was like, and we already knew the results. I mean, we're at finals, so it was between you and Ali Bilal, and I was like, I hope Brian does really get it again, because after everything that we literally just talked about, bro, we were backstage for what, an hour, 45 minutes, and just talking and just seeing and hearing you voice some of the things that you were voicing, even the business stuff that we were talking about. It's like this dude is on another level. So when you won it, man, I was just, I mean, at the end of the day, it wasn't the result I wanted, but I was happy that you got to retain that, man, because because I'm a family dude. Like everybody know. It's so when you were talking about your family backstage, that was big different.
Yeah, Matt, I appreciate that. Cheers, Erin. Thank you. I think, like I say, the first one, it felt like imposter syndrome. It felt like maybe it was a fluke or whatever, and because I didn't raise a glass and because all these years I trained towards that title to then win it and not do anything with that was really bothering me. I was like, I had all these aspirations of doing all these things with it. And then I got it and I couldn't do anything because I was working on the house. I was having these things happening to me. I was like, this is not good. So I just vowed this year I'm going to take it all in. So like with the Olympia, just being in the moment, the all of it, the whole weekend itself, and straight after it, like instead of getting back into work, I had so much work booked in. I just scrapped it. I took the kids on holiday. I'm kind of still in that mode now. I'm still not ready to come back yet.
Before I bring up the next thing, man, I want to take a simple break. All of us, man, we all go through shit. Like, and bodybuilder is heightened by a lot of the decisions that we make in order to be bodybuilders, right? And hearing a champion kind of talk about some of the things that he went through, whether it was questioning and then obviously things off the stage that even put his on stage success in jeopardy for the future.
Yeah.
As a fan, man, because before any of this, bro, before getting on stage, I'm a fan first, man. That's why we have these podcasts, right? That's why I'm able to separate analyzing physiques, talking about physiques, and then being an athlete at the same time because I'm a fan first. So as the fan, man, hearing you talk the way that you just did, I'm sitting here in awe. We obviously none of us knew what you were going through, and all I know is I try to internalize a lot of the shit that I go through, whether, like you said, whether it's business, family, like doubt, all of it, even confidence. I try to hold it in. You know what I mean? And it's all of these things that, I I thought at times you feel alone when you're seeing all the successes and highlights of people feeling like they're amazing on prep. And it's just hearing you say that, man, it kind of puts a calm over kind of the cloud that,
it's funny because when you raise something like that and then someone else relates to it, you're like, you're not actually on your own with it. And there's so many more people struggle with it. I've just come from a background, like my brother was in the army and we didn't have a father figure growing up. So it was quite a tough upbringing. And like my brother and my sister are 2, 3 years older than me. So I had to grow up quite quickly. And it was just you just put emotions aside. My brother was quite a hard, like he was known for that. Do you know what I mean? He was just a man's man. So I kind of had to like be that. So we didn't talk about it. And he's still to this day, he's still got that very firm, he bottles it all up and he's just, you don't see any emotion. I'm crying my eyes out at films. He's there, just nothing. But so coming from that background, I wasn't taught to talk about things. So like it was hard for me. Like my wife said to me quite a lot, just you need to talk to someone about it because obviously last year was quite difficult. But I just put down, get your big boy pants on and get on with it. Just come on, let's keep going and keep grinding. And I was fortunate because bodybuilding does that for me. And as soon as I knew I was backed into a corner because 20 weeks out is my cut-off point, I was backed into the corner. I was up against it. I was like, right, now we fight. And in my head, which is probably not the right attitude to have, in my head, I was the underdog again because I was on the back foot, because I wasn't where I should have been. My body composition wasn't where it should have been starting a prep. I was like, right, now we have to graft. So in my head, I built up this story that I'm now the underdog and I'm fighting to get back up there and stuff. So whatever works.
Here's the question. Here's the question, because I'm a father and I know you're a father. How did you balance all of that going through what you went through with the family, the kids? Because I had a very similar thing literally right after 2022 win. Everything started. I felt like the world was crashing, right?
Really,
I still had to be present. How has that been going forward now?
Yeah, I've got to admit. So that time, obviously, my daughter was as a baby, so she couldn't really see that. And if I'm honest, I feel like sometimes because she's very close to my wife now, whereas Alfie, my son, he was very close to me. He's very, because I was so hands on from the day one. Like I was like, whereas with Elsie, because I was going through a lot of that, I kind of stepped back a little bit and. I question now whether, because she's amazing and we've got a good, beautiful relationship, but she's very much my wife. And I think, is that because I wasn't the way I should have been in the early days, only the first few months? And you question all these things. But Alfie was of an age where I could get away with it. He just making comments which broke my heart when he was saying, like, why is daddy don't want to play with me anymore? Or why is daddy like always in his office? Because I was trying to hide it. So that's what Amy was saying.
God.
you're making it worse by hiding from him. So I'm like, but I don't want to let him see me like this. So the turning point was when I asked her to take the kids down to her parents just for a couple of days, so I could try and sort this out, figure out what's going off and stuff, and just have 2 or 3 days to try and figure it all out and stuff. And that was my turning point. I was like, things need to change now, because if it's affecting my family and my home life, and like I say, didn't have a massive father figure growing up, so I always vowed I was never going to be that guy, and I could see myself slipping down that route. So I was like, things changed. That's and luckily it has been, and ever since like this past 6 months and onwards, it's been phenomenal.
You know,
it's good, man.
How did you do it?
I know those comments, man, that these kids make. That shit stings more than anything I've ever, like, any comment that's been thrown at me on Instagram. Like, it don't matter what it is, but if my kids say something that, like, it literally melts me, bro. Like, it melts me, bro.
And you can't
having to deal with that it sucks. But daddy's leaving again. Yeah, that kills me. Like, it kills me. So when I'm on the plane or I'm trying to text, that's why I bought my kids cell phones. Like, bro, I'm texting them and I can voice message, and we've taught them how to voice back.
But they know, don't they, though, Erin, as well? They know, like, the tone of voice, and they know how to really dig deep, don't they?
They know. They know, and they will test you too. So that's the thing. But it's been fun to grow in the sport, and also grow as a father in the sport. Just because, like, even when I first started, like, my daughter was 2. She didn't really know it. She was just a support. But now she's 7, and now my son's 5, and he thinks he's Mr. Macho Man and don't tell me nothing. So, it all comes full circle back to, like, well, this is why we do what we do. And like I said, man, being a father taught me so much.
But this shows how old I am now, Erin, or in the industry. So I remember when we all started, we were all babies. So, like, me, Jason Poston, you've got Jeremy Buendia, obviously Sadiq. We're all like dads of 2, 3. Jason's got 4 now, and you're just like, oh wow. I don't know. We're a different sector now. Oh, it's like, whoa. When did that happen?
A whole different sector. But to answer your question, man, I know you guys how I'm doing. I'm doing phenomenal, man. I'm at peace. I'm just living my life the way I want to live it.
What's for you then? Because obviously we talked backstage, and you were a bit, obviously, all that it was a bit of a shock to the system, wasn't it? And you were just a bit up in the air with what you wanted to do going forward and stuff. And I know you toyed on social media with it and whatever, but are you feeling more settled now when you're coming back next year?
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. And that it was toyed with, and I kind of ran with it, you know what I mean? And then to be honest, I'm like, let me tell these people that I'm not retired. So
not done
and I don't know, emotions are high and in my place and stuff like that. We always want this result, but when it doesn't happen, it's not like I was super pissed off. I was just, like, disappointed, because, like, I felt I brought a phenomenal package, you know what I mean? So thing was, we toyed with it. We're definitely coming back. We're gonna try to grow a little bit more, because, again, the feedback was pop. So we'll see once we add the size.
How much weight have you got, like, to play with?
I got 9 pounds.
Okay, so you've got a good amount then still.
So
nice.
232 is my cap. So
that's wild. That's wild.
Yeah. I heard you're having a year out, Alex.
Say it again.
You're having a year out, is it? Did you say, or what's your plan?
Yeah. So so I ended up leaving my coach, who I was with for 8 years. And the biggest thing is right now is, one, me getting healthy. It's not like I'm unhealthy, but I had a long season. Of course. I was in India, and then I continued on to India. So I want to clean out my system, get my receptors responsive. And then start a true off season. Like, the last off season I had was literally just baseline TRT throughout the entire off season. Then I started prep 3 months later. Like, it was nothing. And I gave I think the Olympia, and then Tyler gave me a reality check, and Drew was with me,
I remember you saying this. I've seen your recap on this. Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. It almost felt like he was saying, I'm not going to reward you until you actually make the adjustments that we asked you to make. because a subpar physique of mine can get to the Olympia, but they are not going to reward it past that. You might be able to skate by, but if you want to be with the big boys, then you're going to have to, we're telling you what you need to do, right? But you're not doing it. And in layman's terms, because Tyler's a very straight to the point guy, like he doesn't shit. He said I needed to make sure that I take the time in order to get to where I'm getting to. So I did respectfully part ways with my long-term coach. I am kind of searching for the next best opportunity, but for now, like I said, I'm doing my own reverse. That's why I think I'm a little overdoing it to the point where I'm not missing a meal, cardio session, training session.
Yeah, this boy crazy, man. Like we in Houston, so we had a little event and we go to eat. Like, you hungry? So I go down to the cafeteria, get like a little chicken and rice. I mean, it wasn't prep, but this boy whipped out his whole little container. I'm like, bro, you gonna put some sauce on it? This fool pulls out some spray butter. I'm like, yo,
good man.
Loosen up just a little bit.
You're not be saying that if he's beating your ass on stage. You're like,
but exactly, there you go. I'm putting the spray butter backstage.
Hey, I got a whole year to take off. You gotta go qualify and get your body right. Yeah.
But that's the thing, right? I'm not in a rush. So I know I can get back to the Olympia stage with the physique that I have now. But I don't want to just get the participation.
I
don't want that. So
that was always my mentality. Every show I did, that was always my mentality. Never just be a number. You've always got to know you're going to be a contender and you're up there.
And that's what I feel. So I'm not in a rush to step on stage, right? This is going to be, I can tell you right now, the most effective and efficient offseason that I've ever controlled and have in my life. But like you said, when you started off, also working in flexibility. So this is also primed to actually take on a prep moving forward. And that's something that I felt like the last 2 years I didn't do. Like I was so stringent and structured, and to the point where I stepped on stage and there was a no transition from off season to on season. It was just the meals started to go down, right? But regardless, I want to work in that flexibility. I want to have a coach who is, guiding the ship, because I felt like the last couple of years, and this is probably a fault to me because me and my previous coach's relationship got so close, that it almost felt like I was questioning, and I could say, hey, I don't know about this, and then he might listen to me, right? When reality is he might say, hey, shut the fuck up and just follow what I say, right? So that's where I go back to you, man. I'm like, I don't know how you coach yourself through those final decisions, and now with the weight cap thrown on top of that, making all these judgment calls.
That is probably one.
Did you not hear that man say he's been doing this for 20 years?
21 years.
Not with the weight cap, though. Not with the
But you got to understand, Ryan has always been in tip-top shape year-round.
Like, not last season. He said he got a little chunky.
Well, one season, 20 years. But he pulled it off. He pulled it off. So, again, I know it's hard. I know it's hard.
Though, because I remember being in Vegas and I was on my own for a week out there, like literally on my own. So I had nobody there for a week. And that was like just before peak week started. And I started to question it, because you're just rattling around in the apartment on your own and thinking, well, what if I don't do this? And I remember on the day, and it probably wasn't the right thing to do. On the Thursday when we checked in, we talked about it briefly at the weigh-ins, but I just didn't eat that whole time because I was bang on 202. And obviously, maybe speaking to a coach and stuff, or having a coach, I could have fed back and said, right, could I have a little bit of nut butter, or could I have this? And maybe I'd have felt better. But I starved myself all that morning, and I ended up dropping 3 pounds when we were sat.
I remember.
Went on at 199, and I was 202 literally as I walked into that building.
You were a zombie, bro. You were a zombie at the check-ins. Like
I've got to admit, I was really struggling because I'm not somebody who's ignorant, and I don't ever want to come across like that. But I was even struggling to keep my head up to say, to hold a conversation with someone. But people kept coming over. I'm like, don't be ignorant, right? Please try and respond. And all I'm thinking is just get on that scale, please.
As soon as you got off the scale, you ran straight to the food. That was,
you know what? And it was actually quite disgusting. I look back at myself and I'm like, Ryan, what were you doing? Because I ripped my suitcase open and the microwave was there. There was people trying to touch. So I'm a big fan. I was like, fuck. I was like putting peanut butter, almond butter on my rice cake, shoveling it in my face, all up my mouth, all up my face. What is wrong with you?
Dude, it's crazy because it's funny. Yeah. That's how a lot of people are at this level right now. Like the weight cap has really forced people kind of reevaluate their circumstances. Like you said, there's some people who are in me and Aaron's situation, but let's be real. That's some of the taller guys. But if you look at it, there's not that many tall guys.
But I want to stop though. The one thing what got me, which I was really shocked about at the weigh-in, I don't know if anybody noticed it, not a lot of people had to strip off. I was expecting, because I went down to boxing, I even looked at my boxers, the thinner ones than what I had, because I'm thinking that might save half a pound there. Whereas I'm like, people just covered like with the hoodies on and everything, stepped on stage. They were way under cap, but they're so beveled and they look big. So I'm like, it's just mad to me.
There's some people who had to work some, do some magic tricks in order just to get down to the number. I remember Palmero, 22. Edvon Palmero was 22 pounds of muscle above stage weight before they implemented the cap, because I competed with him the year before and he was heavier than me at like 5'9", and I'm 6'2". Like, I would never forget that. And then his weight cap is 202. He weighed in at 222 at the show the year before. He stripped off 20 pounds of muscle. I didn't understand how it was physically possible, but he streamlined his physique, and again, 5th place again.
I think that's obviously what Brandon's going to have to do, isn't it? Because I think, I'm sure Brandon, because he weighed in, because I was sat next to the scale, I think he was 8 pounds over the year before, even though it wasn't in play.
Yeah.
We were doing it like just to see
we did the mock. We did the mock.
I remember.
Yep. Brandon was 8 pounds over. You was what, sorry?
Yeah. That was 22, I think.
2020.
No, that was 2023.
23, yeah. Because they brought it in New York.
They did it at Miami. They did it at Miami 2 weeks later, and I was in Miami and I was backstage, and I saw the guys like stepping.
Like, what's happening?
What's happening? It's definitely a unique circumstance where you're going to have these guys, because people can look absolutely amazing going into a show, but that last 24 hours is everything, right? Like, you can look like shit. But
that's where I kind of messed up a little. I know we can kind of come on to this. We're going to probably talk about this again. It's hard for me because as a competitor, you want to be 100%. So to go into this, like this year, the whole, like, as I was getting closer to it, and as I was going into Vegas, although I had this chest infection and stuff, my body was still responding, and I looked the way I wanted to look, and it's the grainiest I'd ever looked. And I was like, holy shit, we're bringing something very different here as we went into Vegas. But as I got close to the show, the day before, I started filling up. It was after that weigh-in. So do you know when I started trying to get food in? But then every time I weighed in, I was getting obsessed with the weight scale. It just kept dropping to 201 and 202. I'm thinking, I should be filling up now. So the day before, and it's on my YouTube video, you can see it. I just keep going on about being bloated, but I wasn't worried about it because I just assumed on the day of the Olympia, because if I fast over the 8 hours, go to the toilet, it'll all be gone and I'll be fine. And it's always happened in previous years. But for some reason, whether it was nerves, whether it was something I did, or if it was a change in food, I had different rice cakes, but I can't really put it down to rice cakes, can I? But something on the day just wasn't agreeing with me with my midsection. And I kept saying to the lads who I was out with, my friends out, I just can't crunch down the way I want to crunch down, but I don't want to start practicing it too much because my midsection is quite dominant. It fills with blood quite quickly. So don't want to swell it before stepping on stage. So I didn't want to try and crunch down. So I kept saying, it'll be all right, it'll be sound. So I only backstage when I start to practice could really tell I couldn't get into my shot the way I normally get into it. And that for me has killed me, because if you look on stage and you look at a lot of the forums, what come out, they talk about Ali's midsection, it blew me out of the water. And it did. Like I say, his side shot with his obliques looked phenomenal. But it's so frustrating as a competitor. You know, when you're like 100% 48 hours out, or you know where you want to be and what the physique you want to showcase. And for some reason, I don't know what it was, but I just couldn't. And you see me fidgeting quite a lot. Even George Farah came up to me and said, why are you moving so much? Because you've got a phenomenal shape, just hit it. And say, but it was because I could eventually get into it, but I couldn't crunch my midsection the way I normally do. So it didn't pop the way it normally pops, if you get me. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah. You posted a picture, Erin. Stitch me up, by the way, that picture. But that showcases that exactly what was happening, where I'm smiling and normally it just pops really easy. Yeah. It was kind of like washed over. And the more I tensed it, the more swollen it got. the harder it was. So for me, it's frustrating when I hear these forums saying, like, obviously, Ali smashed me from the front, and I'm like, I've got to wait a year now to bring that back into.
You don't have to. I mean,
Then
16 weeks out, you can start right now.
I'm on a detox. I'm doing the detoxing thing at the minute, which is Chris Bumstead's helping me at the minute. It's quite hard. I've never done it before, but I'm doing like a sauna protocol and a gut cleansing and like liver, kidneys, everything all in one go. But it's so complicated. It's hard work.
Yeah,
and I think kind of false economy because I'm having like burgers and chips and then I'm having like gut punishment here. So yeah.
That's balance nowadays.
Yeah.
One thing I'll say is this. I was at finals. I watched you with my own eyes, and I can confidently say that was probably the leanest person I've ever seen in person and the most thin skin. Like there was nothing there.
It's so thin. It's always been like that. Like he gets
but
crazy.
This is different because
texture is crazy.
Because I was in the crowd again for 2023, and I thought you looked absolutely amazing. But the condition you brought in 24, I think, was next level. But I do think the fullness and the pop on 2023 brought you to life, right? So, in your personal opinion, do you like the 2023 look better or 2024?
I prefer 23 because I was more comfortable in myself. Just because I felt like on stage, like everything was effortless, and because of the weight cap, I weighed in, on cap, but then I think I went on at like 208. So I was a lot heavier, like a lot fuller. Yeah, a lot fuller. That's why what I was saying about this year, I was trying to put the food in but it won't go up. It just kept sitting at 202. It's obviously because, like I say, I was a lot leaner and my body was obviously burning a lot quicker this year. Again, something I've never really understood. But last year, as soon as we weighed in or whatever, as soon as we did the mock, or I started carving up for show, I went on like 208 and it just filled up nice. It wasn't rushed. It wasn't panicked. It was over 2.5 days and we just filled up nicely. And I remember backstage just hitting my shots thinking, I'm on now. Like I just felt good. Whereas this year I felt uncomfortable. And although like you say, I was skin peeled, it just didn't feel, I think because I was swollen in the midsection, I just didn't feel as comfortable on stage. So maybe that kind of robbed me of it this year because like the condition was better than last year. But like I say, I felt more comfortable. So I enjoyed that on stage. I felt like I could stand there forever, doing the back shots, the front shots. Whereas this year I was kind of like, come on, let's get through it. Like, hold it, Ryan, hold it.
How do you fix that for next year?
I know what to do. Like I say, it was me. Yeah, good question. I know what to do.
The weight cap is here. The time that you're going to weigh in from when you step on stage is going to be very similar. Obviously, you're more aware of it now, so there's a different approach that you could use. But again, 2023 was no weight cap, and 2024 is now obviously you more educated on the weight cap and how your body's going to respond. But
the thing is, though, Alex, like for me, it's a whole different approach now because I've got 12 months now, and we stepped off stage. I had a week in. I even trained on holiday. I had a week on holiday, but I've hit my training at hard again, straight into my off season. I'm doing the cleaning out till December, like as in cleansing or whatever and I'm going to do a full year as Mr. Olympia. So train as a pro bodybuilder rather than a businessman who can fit in training behind. So I want to give it my all and see where we're at when I start dieting, see what my body composition is, and maybe have a different approach where we're not as forceful in what I was trying to do. I don't know. It's everything changes. My metabolism is going to be changing because I'm a year older. It's not textbook, is it? I don't like to say I make it up as I go along, but you kind of have to adapt as you go along, don't you?
You're never prepping the same body every year, right? You're either growing and all that comes with new added challenges, or makes things significantly easier, right? But regardless, you're prepping a different body every single year, right? There's obviously similarities into it, but I think this year, not only with the outside factors of weight cap, you're also, like you mentioned, there's things that you probably weren't anticipating, like your metabolism being upregulated so much to a point where you filling up was a problem, unlike previous years. Right? So again, I think, like you said, that's one thing that people need to understand, and that's why I think it's so important to have a coach. But like, it's so cool to see you not doing that. Like, it's kind of going against the grain because a coach is there to guide you and take the thinking out of it for you. But I will also say there's not many people who've been in the game as long as you have been who has been able to, learn your body the way that you have. But
It's
do you
either
think?
cool or stupidity.
Mhm.
There's two ways in it. But like I said, I'm somebody who is very sporadic in how I train, and like I say, my day to day fits around what my priorities are is the kids and all that kind of stuff. So I've always been like that. So I think with a coach, it was hard for me. When I had a coach who was like a second pair of highs for like the first 15 years of my career, but he was literally just what's that lad like grabbing my fat on the back, and he was that guy, just a second care. So I never really had that guidance before. So I kind of had to learn the way in UK bodybuilding is very different to the US. You don't have that many coaches and stuff around. So that was never really an option. And then I did look at taking on like an American coach and going down that route, but this just too much structure to the point where it wouldn't become fun for me. You know, when it becomes monotonous and it's a chore, and then that's when you lose the love for it. And I never wanted to lose the love for bodybuilding and for training. So that's kind of the approach or why I do that.
That's the only way I've ever known. You know what I mean? And I was watching a Chris Bumstead video, and he said, yeah, he woke up one morning and he lost weight, and he checked in with Hani, but Hani wasn't up yet, so he just went and ate more food and didn't do cardio that day. It's like I'm not like I just can't imagine doing that because I am like kind of fixed in like the structure of checking with my coach, wait for his response, or whatever it might be. And
that's not a bad thing though, Alex. 99% of people do that, and that accountability is what drives people because you don't have to have some space in your head for it because you're allowing somebody else to take that from you. So I don't disagree with having a coach at all. I just know for me and the person I am, just probably would have clashed heads and just
that makes
I'd
sense.
have probably ended up doing things my own way. And what's the point of that? Because as a coach, you have to have that trust element, and you have to tell them everything you're doing from day to day. Otherwise, it's not going to work, is it? And I just knew I couldn't commit to that sort of regime with my lifestyle.
Oh, now I know we've had you on here for about an hour. I want to get to some questions that some fans asked, but before I get there, I do want to ask. Ali Bilal was very confident going into this year, right? He was building his confidence, and I think we can all say that he delivered on what he was saying that he was going to do. Now, yes, he said he was going to win the Olympia, but he did end up going from damn near last place all the way up to second place, and some say he gave you a true run for your money. Now, what was your thoughts on his physique when you first initially saw the videos after you stepped off stage?
I think for me, I go straight into the comments. I'm a guy who wants to know what everyone else thinks from an outside point of view. I agree, like I say, my midsection, but it glares at me when I see videos. I don't know if you in previous years I did quite a lot of footage and quite a lot of stuff around. I haven't posted massive amounts, and it's not because I didn't like my physique, because like it was where it needed to be, and like when I finally eventually got into my shots, I was happy with that, and obviously the judges were happy with that as well. And speaking to Tyler, we got straight first, so it was nice to know I won that. But knowing I was 85-90% and Ali looked phenomenal, I'll give him that. For me, I always find ways of having a reason why to push harder. And Ali has been that guy for me now because he's known for having a better midsection than me, like in the industry. And I was always known for the midsection and a weak back, whereas now I'm known for a stronger back and a weaker midsection. So I was like, right, that's my driving force this year. So I always have things like that. It's just a mental, what's the word, like game to get you fired up. I've always needed that. I always want that push, that fire. Remember I said about Hart McGrath saying I wasn't in the top 7. Always that drives me. So seeing the photos and Ali, his tan, the way he carved up, his confidence, stage presence, everything, you can't knock that. He looked phenomenal. So he was at his best, and I just need to know I need to be 100%. And not only that, Brandon Henrikson's coming out. We've got Erin, you know what I mean, chomping at the bit, who's determined to make. You've got 9 pounds. Like you've got such room this year to make massive improvements if you need to.
Chiron, Diogo.
Exactly. That's what. So there's enough motivation there, knowing these guys are chasing me. But
somebody said Ray coming back.
Is he?
Don't tempt me.
We'll see. But no,
somebody did say.
Did they?
Oh man, I think he froze. Look at him smiling. But if Ray comes back, I'll be honest. That was my favorite physique when he
Was it?
yeah, because I'm a taller guy. So
Yeah, of
like
course, yeah, because it suits you. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so seeing Ray get the title, after we're, battling it out and
Yeah, yeah.
it was awesome, man. Like
I've
I,
had to sit in the sidelines and watch all of these people get them. So Jeremy, like, yeah, and it's like it'll be my turn soon, but we finally got there. But I ain't giving it
so
up for anybody. Sorry, guys.
but no, but that's what I love too, because let's be real, you weren't at 100%, and yet and still it was clear. Like when I saw it was when I saw you in finals and that in person, right? So like it's different from seeing the videos, but when I saw you in person, it was like, okay, I can clearly see it. Your back width was there, your density separated you, and that alone just allowed you to be extremely successful. And
I
close.
just keep thinking, Alex. I just keep thinking that if I can get my midsection, and it sounds silly, but to the way I had it in the running, I just love to see if it was like closed door or whether Ali would still be a contender in different parts of his physique. Because if you look at the forums, it's very much about his midsection and
Yep.
how that beat me from the front. So yeah, it's just for me, that's like right, focus this year to get undeniable in every section, keeping my back as full as it is and stuff. But obviously I can't put any weight on, but just make sure my midsection is tight, everything, and I'll be obsessed with it now to see
Did
closing the
you feel
door.
like it was tight going into the show minus the fill up process?
Yeah,
Okay.
100%.
So
100%. Yeah, I messed up. I panicked. Not panicked. I I didn't panic because I was very calm and collected this year, but it was more the fact that because the weight, and I've never had to look at a weight scale, so it's never been a factor for me. But because I was looking at it, I
50
kept, yeah, I kept thinking I need to be up. I was 208 last year, get the food in, and because it was just the weight just never moved, it just stayed at 202. Yeah, I
well,
just kept forcing it a bit more than I should have done.
was there anybody else within the first call outs that kind of surprised you? You liked their look?
To be honest, like I'm not actually. Let's have a look then. So like properly. So
You got Edvon, Emmanuel,
yeah.
yourself.
I say Emmanuel like stepped up, obviously with his condition and stuff like that. He looked great to be fair. But like I say, Ali was a standout, like rookies. You say rookie or whatever, but dark horse
Yeah.
from last year to this year was like Erin's bank look like he's
Yeah, Aaron has a very high ceiling. I think Aaron's success is truly within his hands. He just needs to kind of bring back that. I don't even want to say bring back, but it's just because that 2021 and 2022 look were
yeah.
awesome, but he's grown since then. So he has a high ceiling. I think now it just comes down to kind of like maximizing it from there. But
Yeah.
once he nails
Like I
it,
say, if you can let's see, just if you press play, let's see with my midsection, like see if you can see it on this. I don't know if, so it's like
just jumping around a little bit.
I'll probably hit it now.
I don't know
But
what's
yeah,
going on.
it just for me, it was just like water over. I don't know if I'm being self-critical, but that's probably what drives me is being that critical on your own physique. But yeah, I just couldn't crunch it. Like you can see, I'm heavy breathing,
Yeah,
and I
moving.
just that's just flawless. Like you can see Ali, look for instance, he's not effortless. His midsection is tight the whole time. He's breathing through his teeth, and you can't see any shallow breathing. Whereas with mine, yeah, it was just disappointing because I do a lot of ice attention. I do a lot of like in the morning, 8 weeks out, I do a lot of core tension. So that shouldn't be a factor for me. That should be like my strong point, if anything. So that's just what's frustrating for me. That's the only thing I take away from it. I'm still happy with the physique, and like I say, it won the title. But I just know for next year we need to be better.
I love
Through
it.
that.
But I think
Oh yeah,
Aaron might have lost his connection. If you don't mind,
yeah,
let's get some fan questions
yeah,
in.
yeah.
Um, one that stood out to me, I'm actually curious because we actually asked Aaron this in the last podcast. Who is outside of yourself? Who is the greatest, or who do you think, or who's your favorite men's physique athlete of all time? Favorite.
So favorite of all time. I think, this is going to be a bit of a weird one. So if we look at actual genetics, if we're going to do that for genetics and physique, I always liked Felipe Franco's in the
Oh,
early days. I know it's a bit of a random one to say, but I was always obsessed with you put a mirror down someone's physique, it should be pitch perfect, like identical. And he had one of those physiques where he stood straight on and you couldn't knock his physique. It was near on perfect, but I think he got pressurized into doing the size game, and he lost his condition, his shape, because within a year, I remember he put on so much mass, and then ever since then, he never really fulfilled his potential. But I competed against him in Europe in 2013 in the Arnolds and stuff. So way back when, and I just used to look at his physique. I thought, yeah, a very pleasing physique, should I say. I've also thought Brandon Hendrickson, physique wise, he again from top to bottom, he is very symmetrical. Do you know what I mean? So he's got good legs. He's not weak in any area. So that's kind of why I look at people like him as motivation. Knowing he's coming back next year, for instance, he has always been a big driving force for me as well. Like, because he's somebody, if he turns up, he has a chance of winning. You've got to give him that respect. And every muscle part on his body is well balanced.
Yeah.
Like you talk about Ali, he's got phenomenal muscle parts, but he has weak areas he needs to bring up, which he knows, which Tyler mentioned, for him to be. And he can get them, and he'll be a Mr. Olympia one day. But like I say, Brandon's there. Do you know what I mean? So for me, he's always been quite good. Always respected Sadiq. Like I say, Sadiq, competed against him a long time. He's a dad. So again, we have quite a lot of similarities there. And yeah, he's always been good to me. He's always like, because obviously I'm a foreigner to him, I'm the other side of the pond. He's never had to extend his hand and help me, and he always has done. He's always offered help whenever I've needed to be in the States and stuff. So yeah, they're the three different aspects of what I look up to. Yeah,
that's what I like, because they are all three different kinds of physique, right?
Yeah. So if you're looking at physique, yeah, I think Sadiq's me more the fact that what he's achieved in the industry, the respect's there for how long he's been in the industry, and like I say, the friendship there. Mainly, if we're looking at a physique, is with men's physique is like I say, is Brandon and Felipe in the early days.
Love it. All right, what else we got? What do you do when you mess up your reverse? Probably perfect time.
What was that? What do I do?
What do you do when you mess up your reverse? Like after you eat some bullshit too early after a show, do you have any recommendations on what to do from there?
I was just say, if it's 1 day or 2 days, it's not the full week. So it's just getting back on the horse in it, and just writing that off as not a bad thing, because you need to, if that's what you need to do to get out of your system, do it, but just don't get yourself hung up on it and move on. I'm not somebody who's ever needed to do that. If I'm honest, I'm doing it at the minute because I don't know the reasons why. I think because I'm so determined this year from January to be back in prep for the full year, I'm not going around looking for stuff. If it's there, it's there. So that's kind of where I'm at the minute with the kids and everything. So that's why I'm overindulging in foods what I wouldn't normally eat. But yeah.
What's the most weight you've ever put on after a show? Like, or even back in the early days, like way too fast.
No, I never did it. Honestly, this is the first time I went to an all-inclusive after this one. So I kind of put 15 pounds on in a week or something. But previous years, that sounds really boring, doesn't it? But I used to love my oats. I love my meals I eat. So I just kind of got back into prep. But this is the first time I've relaxed quite a bit. It sounds awful, but like my insides are not enjoying it at all. Fighting with it every day.
So that's a tip. Eat so much that your insides stop enjoying it, and then I'll force you to get back on. There you go.
The thing is, I'm at that stage now. The last 2 days is where I'm waking up I wake up starving hungry. I don't know about you guys, but I wake up so hungry normally. Whereas the last 2 days, I'm really having to force my meal in, and that's when I know, right, you're going too far now because you're killing your metabolism.
You don't. That's what's so unique too. I know we didn't dive into this, but you don't track calories, right? You track like weight of food?
Yeah, weight of food. Yeah,
I've never heard of anybody doing that before. I've seen people in like peak weeks say, okay, if you're eating this much grams or pounds, so like we can expect roughly this much in the next second or whatever. But you make your judgment calls throughout the entire prep that way, man. Like.
Yeah, my way. That's all I ever knew. That's the only way I was taught. So it's like you start off with this amount of weight, and if you bring it down to this amount of weight over the 16 weeks, and if your body's shutting down and you're getting telltale signs of like you're not responding well or this and that, then you reboot. You have a refeed and stuff. It's just understanding your body really. But again, it's what works for a lot of people. Like I've never been someone who can take a a notepad into the gym and, write my lifts down and stuff. For
Live by
me,
the logbook.
yeah, I've just never been able to do that, the logbook. Whereas for some people, they live by it and they wouldn't be able to do it any other way. So it's just what works really for the individual, isn't it? I'm just a weirdo, I think.
Yeah, I could never.
Hit
I'm the
me out on
same
my
way.
phone. My computer is tripping.
I thought we just bored you. I thought he was off.
We're
Done.
we're almost done now. We're just having Ryan answer the fan questions, or if you have any questions for him, feel free to throw them at him. Try to get some insight to beat him next season. But Drew, you got any questions?
Yeah, I actually wanted to ask Ryan. So obviously the elephant in the room is improving my back. Do you agree with where I was placed based on my conditioning, my peak, and my front shot for where I was at the Olympia?
Oh,
that's so hard because
here we go.
I'm not saying like to put me over anybody specifically, but as far as you, Ali, Aaron being in that mix of the top three, do you think conditioning and having a front pose as dominant as mine should have been higher than a third call out?
And don't be nice. Tell him
the one thing I would say about this is, like you say, your front shot is very dominant, like you say, and I've seen it in the past with myself as well, where as soon as we turn to the back, they punish you because you think there's 70 of us or 60 of us on stage. They need to find your weakness and get rid of, and it sounds awful, but try and get you down the pack in order to get the. So I feel like, and that's not you saying like get you down the pack. It's basically if someone's weaker, if someone's just like what's the word, weak in one area, which they're saying your back is, and you need to bring your back up, they're going to punish you.
All they're looking for. That's all they're looking for. It doesn't matter how good my front pose is anymore when I come out. It doesn't matter how good certain body parts are, overall conditioning. They're looking for until I face the curtain where they're going to move me.
And that's what I was going to say. Did you move when you faced the curtain? Was it noticeable to you? So was you from the front, you were there, and then when you turned to the back, you moved down?
So at other shows throughout the year, yes. Miami, when Vitor won, Vitor was first, Deke Walker was second, third was Brandon Cantalopes, fourth was Ricardo Sinet. I held center for a good 3 to 4 minutes, and then they finally moved me out. And then it came down to a dominant back show, and that's what Tyler specifically told me. He says, this lineup, you're only as good as the lineup that you're in. As far as my front being a top tier front, you lack the backs. Their eyes are immediately going to that back. And that's why I think I was truly moved out, because I know I could keep up and be with anybody in my front pose, but it is the back pose.
And the thing is, though, Steve, if you go, obviously using Bev's gym or not, the one thing he reiterated to me constantly was it's a front and back shot. That's all they judge you on. They don't judge you on your transitions, your routines, anything like that, your stage presence. It's your front and back shots. So that's what he said to me about be careful. When I was putting my routine together, he's like, don't overcomplicate it, because all you're going to do is show weaknesses, because like there's more to show when you're trying to do fancy transitions. You're just running the risk of showing a weakness. All they judge is the front and back pose. So if you're very dominant from the front, but then you're lacking the back, they're going to punish you for it. Mm-hmm. So it's better to, you know what I mean? It sounds awful, but mediocre from the front and mediocre from the back, rather than be stand out and not so good. Do you know what I mean? I think that. So it's
exactly. I like to break it down. Obviously, we all know, and this is all positive criticism, it does come down as 50%. So all they're looking for when I come out is, did he do what we told him to do? Show after show after show. I remember having gyno, and Tyler told me, he goes, you got to, get rid of that gyno. For the past 5 years competing, he told me, you just need to bring up your back. You could compete with all of these guys on stage. And as I progressed, other guys still progress. So I'm constantly like this, so I got to really make strides in order to really show them. So that's why I'm maximizing this offseason the most I can. It's why cut the season short to where I'm limiting how much I can actually improve to my back. Because at this point, it's not about going to the Olympia. I know that I've been twice. I know that I can go there again. But like you said earlier, and Alex said the same thing, go and be a contender. It's kind of like grinding all year to only go to the Super Bowl and then you play like shit. I want to go to the Super Bowl, and I actually want to present my best where I could potentially, obviously in increments, move up. First, the goal was the top 15. Now the goal is the top 10. And I'm being realistic with myself. I don't want to do big shows like the Arnold or New York until I know that I have what it takes to be a contender for that. So I know I have these weaknesses, like you said. I just like to hear it from you and be able to get other ideas.
Yeah, you've got your head screwed on with that though, because some people live in denial and they just keep pushing and pushing, trying to say, "Well, I've stepped on the Arnold stage, or I've stepped on the New York," but it's pointless. Like if you're not going to have an off season, like you say, Alex, as well, with you trying to have time out to improve, there's no point, is there? Because like at the end of the day, the Olympia is the Super Bowl, and you if you've got a top 10 in your head for the, you've got to make the improvements because Tyler is judging you and Steve's judging you day in day out. They know what they look for. They know your physique by now, so they are going to be straight away looking to see if you've made the improvements. And that's why I think I jumped so quick last year, because I remember Tyler came back to me after New York and he said, your back has come up, your back's improved. He said, but you just need more. He said, you look phenomenal, well done, congratulations. So he said, you just need more back for the Olympia. And I'm thinking, that's all they keep going on about is my back. So I like to say, for 6 months, I hit my back. And from ranked seventh to first is unheard of. Like even now I get shivers thinking, how did that happen? Because it's not a known thing, is it? You just don't do that. And it was all because of my back, because I listened to what they said. Even that front shot as well, the Superman pose. I'll tell you something. So that does make a difference. So the Superman pose, I remember winning the New York Pro and I had that side shot, didn't I? And I finally thought, right, I'm doing what they tell me because I'm now winning shows again. So I'd spent like 16 weeks going into that Olympia last year, perfecting that front shot. Because I was already lean anyway from New York. So I stayed on and I just perfected it. And I was so confident going to see him in Pittsburgh. And I hit that shot. Jim Manuel was there, Tyler Manuel was there. And they was like, yeah, you look good, you look great. So I just, and it was Jim who said it. He went, just put your hands on your hips, stand straight on. And I did it. And he went, that's what you should do. And I was like, but it can't be because I've hit that shot, with one hand off, but straight on for years, and you've never let me win the Olympia straight on. So why would it make a difference now?
Oh.
That's the shot you need to do. And the problem is when they tell you something, you can't then not do it because they're going to see that you're not listening to them. Yes. So I remember leaving Pittsburgh and I remember being in Pittsburgh airport, losing my head thinking, I've got to learn this pose, which I don't know anything about. And I've done the whole year doing this pose, this side pose. So for 10 days, literally into the Olympia, I was hitting this front shot for hours, thinking, how am I going to hit it? And because I did it, you just saw Jim like nod. And he wasn't even judging, but he nodded in the crowd to say like his acknowledgement last year. And that's when I knew I'm in this now. I've got a shot of winning it. So yeah, you have to listen to them. If they're telling you to bring you back up, you've got to bring it back up, my man.
I personally love my one hand or both hands off hip front shot, but Tyler specifically said you need to have one hand on hip, one hand off. It makes you broader and it hides how big your arms are. And I'm like, I've been practicing one way so long and now have like you said, they are telling you what they want to see. They know who you are, especially at this level. So at this point, do what they say, make the improvements, and don't be in a rush to get your ass kicked. Right? Exactly. Get it done. All right, brother. You've been on now for a little bit. I want to thank you for coming on. But before
by the way, Ryan.
Yeah.
I know you had that gut issue. If you ever in the market for vitamins, Elite Essentials is now live. Digestive enzymes, if you need it, my guy, I got you covered.
You did not just walk downstairs to do that. You did extra cardio.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
No, Aaron, congratulations on launching too, by the way, brother. That's awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. It's definitely already a headache.
Yeah, I can imagine. Ryan, real quick, I started a board short company too. It's doing awesome, by the way. You were an inspiration of that. Are you still running your board short company? Or is it too much of a headache?
Yeah, I know the headache. So basically, when I was telling you about, I had so much on last year. That was another thing as well. That was I scaled it to what I could scale it to. So I just couldn't find the people, the infrastructure to be able to run with it. So I was having to manually still do everything.
Oh, wow.
It was doing, but every drop we did, we sold out. So I know there's a market for it, and obviously now it's getting less and less because there's more and more people doing it. But at the time I did it, there was only like people still using Hurleys and stuff when I first started.
Nobody was.
Yeah, Hurleys.
Yeah,
Hurleys. So it was like, and I am gutted about it. I've still got it. It's like you say, it's
don't
there.
Don't worry about it. I got you.
I appreciate it.
I got the perfect blue ones for you. They can be called champ.
Fully sponsored here.
You gotta say it twice.
Come on, we got to bring Ryan on the team.
Right? Come on now. The champ special.
Breaking up, guys. You're breaking up. Sorry, guys.
All right. Before we get out of here, this is a MPR special. You gotta be the tiebreaker in this initial conversation. When it comes to syrup,
Oh God,
pronounce it right. The stuff you put on your pancakes. Where do you store it? Is it in your pantry or is it in your fridge?
Pantry.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And you're white,
right?
Yes.
Damn,
yes.
I'm even more of an outcast now.
You're the whitest of the white guys.
I was counting on Ryan.
Puts it in the fucking pantry. Yes.
Oh my God.
Won.
Sorry,
he ain't got the bubbliness, but hey, he put the syrup in the right spot, baby. That's what we want to hear.
Now let's go.
You just you got all the black family coming over now. That's what I'm talking about.
Sorry about that.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh,
but my man, thank you again for coming on, man. The support means so much. The fact that we've started this literally just this season, and now we've had Champ come on twice. It means so much to us, man, and we're forever thankful.
Where do I send the bill to? Who do I send the bill to?
That's Aaron.
Send to Alex.
He got that supplement money coming through now.
Honestly, I appreciate you always, guys. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you, brother. And until next time, we'll see you.